we will go over some examples. So we will solve complete problem just to show you how to define name constants. And also I have a purpose of giving the students this example to show you that you must be careful when you write equations that is mixed with data types, or using operations like arithmetic operations like addition, multiplication on integers. You have to be very careful on that. So let us solve this equation. The area of a triangle is computed by taking half of the product. Product means here multiply. So the area of the triangle is computed by taking half the product, نصف حاصل ضرب, its base, and height, قاعدة في الارتفاع. And this is the equation. Whenever you are given an equation, then it is easy to tell which variable in the equation is input and which variable in the equation is output. Here we have three variables: area, base, and height. And you know that you cannot compute area without knowing base and height. So base and height should be input. You ask the user for those two values, and you should compute the area by writing equation after the user input base and height. Sometimes the question doesn't say what you have to do, but you can conclude this from the equation itself. So write a program that reads. So already it's telling you to read base and height. So base and height will be input. However, you already knew that from the equation that base and height would be input, but the question is also telling you that base and height will be input, and you should display the area. So display the area will be output, and you get the area after you implement the calculation. So this is a slide 23. And so usually if I have more than one question on one slide, I give the program name by the slide followed by the problem number. So I will switch now to JGrasp. So on the left hand side, we have our folders from previous exercises, and today March is 15. So I have already created a project. So we will keep all programs we solve today in this file, in this folder. So we will create one, new, Java file, and we will just write the lines that are essential for every Java program. So it will be public class, and this will be slide. So slide 23, problem 1. So why I am doing this? So that when you get the exercise, you know exactly which solution to which problem. So this program is for the problem that exists on slide 23, problem number 1. Public static void main string args arguments, and we will start our program inside. Since we are going to read from the user, then we need to prepare our program for input. So we need to import java.util.scanner, or you can use a star, and this will import all classes that exist in the package util, including a scanner. But we don't want to include everything, but this is another option that you can include everything. So I will just leave it as it is. Inside, we will have a place for our data declaration. As you remember in last lecture, I advise you not to define variables anywhere in your program, because you will define them on separate places. And whenever you want to check a variable, then you have to look for it in the program. But if you have a special area for your data declaration, then it is easy to check your variables in one place. First, we need to create a variable for the keyboard, and I will call it KBD, new scanner system.n. So we have a variable for the input called KBD. So if you want to read from the user, remember to use this variable with a method, either next integer, next double, and etc. Initially, we need 3 variables. They are double because remember area can have fraction. So area is not integer because we could have a base that is 2.5 maybe centimeter. So the variables will be double. So we need one for base and one for height and one for the area. Here a note, maybe I have said this not before. Whenever you define variables, don't give them names like X, Y, Z, like in mathematics. Because if you name them that way, then if someone reads your program will not understand what is the purpose of this variable. What is the function of this variable? But if you write the name of the variable base, for example, then it is clear that this is a variable for the base of the triangle. So name your variables according to their usage. Okay, what is the purpose of this variable? Just give it a name. Next will be the input. So we will ask the user. I can ask the user to input both base and height in one message, or I can put separate messages. The first message will ask for the base. The second message will ask for the height. So let us write one message for both of them. System.out.println, and I'm going to read them. I mean, read the base and height on the next line, not on the same line as the message. So we will say enter the base and height of the triangle. And then we will read, because here we are asking for base and height, so we have to read it twice. The first reading will be for the base. Remember that we define a variable for the input for the keyboard. We called it KBD. Now I want to read the base and save it into this variable, which is base. So I will start typing base is equal to. So when I take the input from the user, it will be saved into base. And how to take the input from the user? You bring the name of the keyboard, KBD, and then you write dot, and then you write the method appropriate for the input. You are reading double because base is double, so you write next double. Previous lecture, or on the slides as well, there is a table tells you which method you should use for which type. Next, we need to read height, and we will use kbd.nextDouble. So the first kbd.nextDouble will wait for base, and the next kbd.nextDouble will wait for the height. Next, we write the equation for the process. Now for the process, we have an equation, and this equation is equal area equal 1/2 multiply by base multiply by height. Okay. Next will be the output. So the output, simply you present your results to the user. So system.out.println. Now, if you just print area, then your output will not be formative. It will not be useful. All what the user will see a number and doesn't know what is this number. It is better that you proceed it with a message. تسبقه باللي هو message. So before you display the value of the area, put a message and tell the user what is this value. So you say the area of the triangle is. Close the message and then write a plus to combine the message with the variable. Now it's time for running the program and see if there are errors. Now I need to save the file. So save. I need to give it a name. So the name should match the name of the class. So the compiler already suggested the name, slide 23, problem 1. and I'm going to add it for today's project. So it is saved now. So I will run it by pressing the run icon. And it seems that there is an error. So the error is the spelling here. So T is missing. So I need to include T. And it's see the error here, it says there is a pointer to the variable where the error is. Let's run it again. And now there are no errors. And the program is running. Enter the base and height of the triangle, 3.5 space 6.7. And the answer, the area C, there is also a mistype error. The area A is missing. I will correct it, but there is something strange on the output. It is equal to 0. This is not a syntax error. A syntax error like the previous one that I did not put T here, but this type of error is called logical error because the answer is not correct. So how come it is 0? I'm given 3.5, 6.7, maybe I should try again. So I will run it again. Enter base and height, 4.5, 8.9, and it is still giving me 0. So it means that there is a problem or a calculation problem that we think that what we were doing was right, but the computer was doing something different. The problem probably from here. So if I want to check if the user has typed base and height correctly, I can write a print here statement. This is how you do if you want to spot your errors, if you want to see where are your errors. So you write system.out.print and you put the value for base equal base, and then you put another message. You write height equal, and you put height. This is just for testing that I am reading the variables correctly. Now, if I run the program again, so if I give 3.5, 6.7, so when printed, see it says base 3.5, height 6.7. So that means the computer has read my input correctly. So the problem is not from reading. The problem probably from the equation. So I will remove this because this is only for testing. We don't need it. So let us concentrate on the equation. Why there is a problem? If you remember that whenever there is an operation, if you are adding integer with integer, the answer is integer. If you are adding double with integer, the answer is double. So you go for the larger value. But here you are dividing 1 over 2. Now when you write 1 without dot, then the compiler, Java compiler, will assume that this is an integer. And if you write 2 without dot, also the compiler will assume this is an integer. So don't depend on your calculator if you want to find an answer. And this is especially for output questions. Don't depend on your calculator by just typing 1 divided by 2 because the calculator will give you 0.5. But the computer here will divide 1 as an integer and divide 2 as an integer. It will give you the integer part of the answer. The answer is 0.5. So the integer is 0. So this is why the answer from 1 over 2 will be 0. And you know 0 multiplied by any number, the answer is 0. So how to overcome this problem? There are 2 solutions. You can just simply put dot on one of the numbers, run your program. So 3.5, 6.5. And the answer is, I will increase the screen. So see, the answer is now correct. The other solution, and maybe some of you have already thought about, why you don't just write the constant directly 0.5. I just copied the equation from the problem, 1 over 2 directly. So why you don't just write 0.5, and this will solve the problem for you. So put 4 and 5, so the answer is 10.0. So I will leave the previous answer recorded in this program so that you should ask yourself when you read this program again, why we put 1.0 here and we did not here 2.0. This will remind you that there is a compatibility problem here, integer over integer.